Imagine walking up the creaking stairs of a forgotten mansion where every corner is hidden in shadow and the wall seems to whisper. In horror films, architecture is never just a backdrop. It becomes a character, breathing dread into every scene. Today, we're exploring the haunted architecture of horror films, where we'll uncover how these iconic buildings elevate terror and leave unforgettable marks on cinema. Horror films masterfully use architecture to tap into our deepest fears, whether by trapping us in endless corridors or confronting us with oppressive facades. The structure and design of a setting can transform simple stories into terrifying experiences, making the viewer feel disoriented, watched, or even imprisoned. In this video, we will explore some of the most iconic horror locations. From Gothic revival mansions to eerie farmhouses, horror films have long depended on architectural style to set the tone. Many horror films draw on historical Gothic elements, which originated in medieval cathedrals and castles designed to inspire awe and fear. This style often appears in films like Crimson Peak, which draws heavily on Gothic features to create a sense of decay and darkness. Conversely, psychological horror films like Psycho use simpler domestic architecture to give a chilling twist to everyday life, showing how even a modest house can be a site of terror. The Bates house in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho looms atop a hill, looking down on all who approach. This Victorian Gothic home, inspired by Edward Hopper's painting House by the Railroad, is an unsettling mix of beauty and menace. The house's pointed gables and sharply angled roofline create an eerie silhouette that looms ominously over the nearby Bates Motel, embodying a brooding, almost spectral presence. Inside, the house is claustrophobic with cramped hallways and dark wood interiors that mirror Norman Bates's repressed psyche. Hitchcock used this setting to bring out psychological horror, transforming a domestic space into a metaphor for Norman's fractured mind. The house visually traps him in his disturbing family history, and the attic window, the mother's window, gives the impression that the house itself is constantly watching. Hitchcock's design of the Bates house captures the essence of Gothic horror within a familiar setting, turning home into a prison of secrets. In The Shining, Stanley Kubrick's Overlook Hotel is also a masterpiece of horror architecture. The hotel's sprawling design reflects a blend of Art Deco and Native American influences, with stark patterns, geometric flooring, and unsettling symmetry that create a sense of unease. Kubrick filmed the exteriors at Timberline Lodge in Oregon, while the haunted interiors were meticulously constructed on a soundstage. The layout of the hotel itself feels like a psychological maze. Hallways twist and turn, leading nowhere, and rooms seem impossibly interconnected, disorienting both the Torrance family and the audience. Kubrick famously altered the floor plans and created spaces that defy logic, enhancing the feeling of entrapment and slowly driving Jack Torrance to madness. The Overlook becomes more than just a setting. It's an omnipresent force, trapping its residents and pulling them into a sinister past. Kubrick's precise attention to architectural detail helps create one of the most impressive and disorienting settings in horror cinema. In Rosemary's Baby, Roman Polanski turned the Dakota Building, an elegant Gothic revival landmark in New York City, into a nightmare for Rosemary. The Dakota's impressive stone facade, turrets, and dark iron detailing create an imposing structure that seems to hold countless secrets within its walls. The Bramford, as it's called in the film, becomes both Rosemary's dream home and her prison, a place of twisted rituals and hidden intentions. Inside, the apartment's classic 1916s design with its dark wood, ornate molding, and confined hallways becomes suffocating as Rosemary's life unravels. Polanski's use of this space emphasizes how the building itself seems to conspire with the sinister plot against her, making her feel more trapped in the deeper she goes. The Dakota's Gothic architecture underscores the contrast between modern urban life and ancient horrors, a tension that the film leverages to unsettle the audience. In The Haunting of Hill House is not ordinary mansion. It's a maze of dark corridors, hidden rooms, and eerie staircases. This version of Hill House draws on Gothic revival elements with its lumen towers, intricate woodwork, and a foreboding facade that makes it feel like a brazen entity. Filmed at Bishop Manor in Georgia for exterior shots and with richly detailed soundstage interiors, the house exudes a sense of both grandeur and decay. Every aspect of the mansion's design feels unsettlingly alive, as though it remembers and records every trauma that takes place within its walls. The grand staircase, reminiscent of Gothic cathedrals, ascends into darkness, while the mold-covered walls and dimly lit hallways create a feeling of decay and timelessness. The show's curators use design to explore themes of grief, memory, and trauma. The Red Room, a central and mysterious part of the house, acts as a kind of psychological trap for each family member, reflecting their subconscious fears and desires. These rooms have a shifting appearance and hidden significance, making the psychological heart of Hill House, amplifying the show's sense of dread. So Hill House isn't just a mansion, it's an intricate symbolic labyrinth of secrets and traumas. Its architectural elements are deeply intertwined with the Crane family's experiences, making the house a metaphorical embodiment of the horror and heartbreak they endure. The farmhouse in The Conjuring is a quintessential example of rural American horror, evoking loneliness and vulnerability. This New England-style home is isolated and aged, with its weathered wood siding and simple, straightforward design. The filmmakers used the actual farmhouse location to ground the supernatural events in a setting that feels disturbingly real. Inside, the house's narrow hallways and creaky floors create tension. The filmmakers enhanced the farmhouse's natural decay, using minimal lighting and simple set dressing to maintain a low-key, grounded atmosphere. This house doesn't have grandiose architecture, but instead relies on its stark, unblemished quality to evoke terror. The farmhouse is haunted not only by spirits, but by its own history, and its unpretentious architecture lets viewers imagine similar horrors within their own homes. In Crimson Peak, Guillermo del Toro's Allerdale Hall is the ultimate example of Gothic horror architecture. Inspired by Victorian and Gothic elements, Allerdale is a mansion decaying from within, a reflection of the tortured lives of its residents. The house is both beautiful and terrifying, with its high, sweeping staircases, grand halls, and intricate carvings that seem to watch the characters as they move. Del Toro's design is rich in detail. The stained glass, vaulted ceiling, and crumbling walls make Allerdale Hall feel alive. Blood-red clay seeps through the floors, symbolizing the family's dark secrets, and the design's rich color palette and textures heighten the sense of dread. Allerdale Hall is more than a setting. It's a decaying body with veins of clay and bones of stone, an extension of the horrors within. Del Toro's attention to Gothic architecture and his use of vibrant colors create a vivid setting that is both alluring and dangerous, capturing the twisted beauty of Decay. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu takes the iconic vampire story and gives it a fresh, haunted feel. The architecture plays a huge role in creating the eerie, timeless atmosphere of the film. The Count's castle is unforgettable. Dark, jagged, and crumbling, it feels like it's been standing for centuries, holding secrets in its shadows. The towering stone walls, twisting staircases, and cavernous rooms are chilling as Count Overlook himself. You can almost feel the cold seeping from the screen. Then there is a small coastal town that seems stuck in time. Narrow streets, dimly lit houses, and simple wooden structures stand in stark contrast to the castle. The oppressive atmosphere of the town reflects the fear and helplessness of the townspeople as the shadow of Count Overlook looms over their lives. The lighting is the final touch. Eggers uses harsh shadows and sharp beams of moonlight to give everything an otherworldly, dreamlike quality. The sets aren't just backdrops, they feel alive, amplifying the dread and unease. This version of Nosferatu blends Gothic horror with stunning detail, making every scene look like a chilling work of art. Creating such intricate sets is no easy feat, Directors face challenges in balancing authenticity with atmosphere. Many times, filmmakers struggle to maintain historical accuracy while conveying supernatural elements, or they work within budget constraints that force them to use creative solutions. For The Shining, Kubrick meticulously controlled every detail to make the Overlook feel real yet unsettling. For Crimson Peak, Del Toro insisted on building entire rooms to immerse the cast in the haunted atmosphere, blending authenticity with theatrical design. Directors have found innovative ways to overcome these challenges, from using existing historic locations to designing sets from scratch. They masterfully balance aesthetic and storytelling. This blending of horror with architectural elements helps create immersive worlds, turning settings into characters that shape each film's atmosphere. Architecture plays a pivotal role in horror films, transforming settings into entities that haunt both characters and viewers. Next time you watch a horror film, look closely at the setting, its design, its details, and the secrets it seems to hold. Share your thoughts on other iconic horror architecture in the comments, and don't forget to check out more the eerie world of horror cinema.